Hello again from my front porch. It is almost the end of September, which means it's also almost the start of October. Now, the reason that's a big deal for me is because when it's almost the start of October, that also means it's almost my birthday, because my birthday is October 2, October 2nd. So that's coming right up this week. And unfortunately, I won't be here. This work travel, it's got me going. So this week, I told you about the traveling I was doing last week. This week, I only have to go two places. I have to go first to Louisville, Kentucky, to help facilitate a training session, an all-day training session. And then when that training session gets done, I turn around and jump on a plane and fly to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I will be at a conference speaking, doing a presentation on my birthday. And so, and some people would be like, oh, what a horrible, no, I enjoy that kind of thing. So for me, it's like a little gift to myself. Hey! So I'll be off doing that on my birthday, but then I don't come home until late on Friday. And so, though pretty much I was here today, Monday, but the rest of the week gone. And so, this is my chance to chat with you here for my birthday. If I get an opportunity, I might do a video actually on my birthday from the conference. We'll see, depending on how all that goes. But I wanted to make sure to do this one here because it's sort of birthday related. Oh, speaking of birthday stuff, I got my first birthday wishes. My first birthday, well, that's not entirely true. My mom, I was visiting with my folks yesterday. My mom made a point of wishing me happy birthday when I was there. So that's that. Of course, she is the most influential one because certainly she was right there when I was born. But aside from my mom, the first birthday greeting that I got was from the CEO of my company, literally. See, I got this nifty birthday card. Now you can't quite tell, but it's a birthday cake made of concrete, and the candles are rebar sticking out of the top. That's pretty kind of cute for a construction company. So I just think that's great. And so it's got, it says, Paul, happy birthday. Hope you have a wonderful and blessed day on the 2nd. Carl. And see, all handwritten, everything, not just like some computer typed thing. So thank you, Carl. I appreciate that. I accept that on behalf of all of Baker. I should mention my own boss, Carrie Smith. She knows that my birthday is coming up because in a couple of different meetings we've had, she's looked at her calendar and went, oh, and that's going to be your birthday. Oh, and so I'm sure that I'll hear more from her about that as well. But regardless, what I want to talk about was kind of quasi birthday related, and that's this concept that people use this phrase or almost a negative phrase, and they say, you need to act your age. Now, why don't you think about that and it may come as a shock to you, but I've actually been on the receiving end of that once in a while. There are actually people I know, in fact, people who have been around me for a while, not just like people who are new to the crazy world of Paul, but people who I've known for a while, who then will give me feedback at some point that I get a little too rambunctious, or I get a little too outgoing, or I get a little too gregarious. Like, have you met me? Do you I mean, I'm not that way all the time, but when I'm enjoying myself, when I'm having fun, when I feel like I can cut loose and just be me, cutting loose means something to me. It means you're cut loose now. You don't have to keep it reined in, and I really like that. I don't want to do that all the time, but when I feel like the context allows it, I'm all over that. I like it. But in those kind of situations, some people have been critical, and they say, man, you need to act your age. Okay, let's think about this just for a minute, though. So we malign people for not acting the appropriate way for the age they are, because we generally think they're acting immature. You're this age, but you're acting like you're this age. Shame on you. You need to act your age. What exactly does that mean? We'll get to that in a moment, because the flip side of this also happens. I've seen it's like you're advancing in age, and when you're younger, people always joke about you acting older than you are. I mean, my grandson Ethan was just born, and already, there were discussions about not him as much, but well, I mean, there was one comment made about his facial expressions and stuff, and about how he's acting so mature. But my granddaughter, who's 3.5, about how she's got the attitude of going on 30, and stuff. And so when we're little, people will joke about us being older, acting older. Then we advance into those middle years of our lives, the middle decades, and for some reason, that's where this act your age really shows up. You're up here now. Stop acting back here. You need to be up here now. But the interesting thing happens that you were in this range here, and once we move beyond that, once we move into more advanced age, then we actually celebrate and applaud people who act more juvenile. Somebody who is in their 80s or 90s who still wants to go out dancing and having fun and doing stuff, and we're like, oh, look at, they're just like a big kid. Look at, and we smile at that. We think that's a cool thing. Well, why is it when we're little it's okay to not act your age, and when we're old it's okay to not act your age? Yet when you're in this middle life area here, all of a sudden you need to act your age. You're not acting appropriate for your age. Okay, let me go back to my question. Says who? As defined by who? Because I'll tell you what, I have never been the age that I am right now. I have never been the age that I'll be in a few days on my birthday. I will be, 58. And I've never been 58 before. But you know what? I believe that I am the expert on how I should behave at this age that I am right now. There is nobody else on this planet who is better at being an expert as to how Paul Smith should act at this age than Paul Smith. So anybody telling me you need to act your age, well, you need to mind your own business, because you don't know how Paul Smith should act at this age. Only Paul Smith does. Nah. But seriously, different people behave differently at different ages. The problem is at different stages in life and all that kind of thing. The problem isn't really how people act. Let's be honest. The problem is how we try to put ourself onto somebody else. We try to infer and apply our perspective and force it onto others. And when they don't align with what we think it should be, then we get condescending and judgmental. And we will attack them, and we will undermine them, and we will criticize them, and we'll mock and lampoon them because they're acting childish. They're acting immaturely. They're acting juvenile by the standard we set, because we wouldn't act that way. Meanwhile, someone like me sits back and goes, wow, I feel really sorry for you. You are really uptight. Sorry. I mean, I'm most likely not going to say that to your face. Now, if you're really rude to me, I just might anyway. But I usually keep that stuff locked in up here. It doesn't usually come out of my mouth. But I assure you, it's up here. It's being thought. But really, if you want to be stoic, you want to be straight-laced, okay, I'm almost 60 years old, and I have to act dignified, and I have to act, adult, and I don't even know what adult means, honestly. And I have to hold myself to a standard. I don't have a fault with any of that. You want to live that way, that's great. I don't. That's not me. I mean, I can do that, and obviously I know there's a time and a place. And if I'm in a professional setting, I'm going to act very professional. If I'm around people who just met me for the first time, I'm probably not going to be because that first time I'm around them will also then be the last time. But when I'm around people that I have developed comfort level with, when I'm around people who I feel I have a bond and a connection with, people who accept me for me, then I'm far more likely to let loose on the restrictions, to ease up the bonds that keep me tied into this perception that I'm supposed to have as defined by others, and just be me. And the older I get, the more of these birthdays that I have, the more I really enjoy not having to align to somebody else's vision of who I should be, and instead just be me. Sometimes I'm not even completely sure who that is, but over this last decade or so, that has been my learning journey, and that's actually been the point of this program, as you know from the very beginning. Is it says, okay, this is my personal journey of almost a discovery journey, to use the phrase of finding out exactly who is this guy, what's in here, how does this all work, or what ticks, and I think it's been a really good, healthy, and most of the time fun journey. Not all the time, but most of the time. And I don't see any reason for that to change. It's not like, okay, this year I turned 58. Okay, now I need to slow it down. A couple of years after that, I'll be 60. Oh, I'll pump the brakes. Time to no. You know what? There may come a day when I have to slow down, when I have to behave differently. I think about my mom, and my heart really breaks for her in some ways, because up here and here, she is a social butterfly, and she wants to be out, involved, doing things, active. The problem is, for various reasons, her body will no longer let her do that. She does not have the mobility to function in those ways anymore. We can still compensate for some of that, and she can do some things, but she can't do anywhere near as much as she would love to be doing if she could. And I suspect someday I will be in that same type of situation where, and my dad, he's the same way too, where he used to be a handyman doing all kinds of stuff. He could repair cars, he could do electrical work, he could do plumbing, he could rebuild appliances, lawnmowers, he could do pretty much anything except carpentry, and even that he could do kind of basic. His dad apparently was a master carpenter, but he's not as much. But all this other stuff, man, he was just intuitive, and he was just amazing. Now he can hardly do any of that because he doesn't have the vision to see stuff. His fingers, he's lost the dexterity, and he fumbles with things, and he just doesn't have the mental acuity in some cases now to be able to do that either. And so, but there's still the passion here and in here to do these projects, to make a difference, to have an impact, and he's frustrated because he can't. But again, that's because his physical structure is limiting him, not because his spirit is limited. And I have no reason to believe that I won't eventually be in that same boat myself. But I'm not today. I'm not. Coming up on Thursday, I don't feel that way. And I don't see that day happening anytime soon. Just because I know it may happen one day doesn't mean I need to accept and embrace it today. When that time comes, either I'll deal with it or my poor kids will have to deal with me. But until then, don't ask me to act my age, because I'll tell you, I am acting my age. This is the age I am. This is how I act. I am acting my age. So there. And with that, I'll let you all go, and I'll see you next time from my front porch.